Ready? Play.
Next up is Francis Tiafoe against Alexander Zverev. Tiafoe avenging his Mexican Open loss with a straight sets win over Flavio Cobolli in the previous round. Zverev having to come from a set down to beat Brandon Nakashima. 6-7, 7-5, 6-4. Zverev, of course, never been as far as the semi-finals in Indian Wells, which is a kind of a surprise for a guy who obviously does very well on all surfaces, in all conditions, I would argue. Maybe not grass. But certainly, Zverev not ever being in the semi-finals at Indian Wells is kind of surprising. Last year, he went out to Griegsbor in his opening match. Did make the quarters in 2024 before going down to Alcaraz. That is the furthest he has been in Indian Wells. As for Francis Tiafoe in recent years, well, last year, Francis Tiafoe went out to Tsitsipas in the round of 32. Sorry, that was 2 years ago to Tsitsipas. Last year, he went out to Watanuki, also in the round of 32.
Oh!
In 2023, Tiafoe did make the semis, which is obviously a round that Zverev has never made in the past. And their form, well, Tiafoe's form, pretty good, I guess. Maybe turning a corner in recent weeks, recent months, getting to the Mexican Open final before losing to Cobolli, as I mentioned, and then also getting some nice wins this year at the Indian Wells tournament. Zverev making the semi-finals in Australia, but disappointing early loss to Kecmanovic in the Mexican Open, but he has had a couple more wins here at Indian Wells, including that win, of course, over Nakashima. Prior to that, in the previous round, Zverev beat Berrettini in straight sets. That was a match I actually saw. Zverev's level pretty good, but Berrettini a long way off the player he was 2021, 2022, 2023. Obviously, a lot of injuries since then. Two right-handers coming up against each other. Zverev, obviously, with the stronger player on serve, and 8-1 is their head-to-head. In fact, Zverev has not lost to Francis Tiafoe since 2017. Outdoor hard matches. They played each other in Beijing in 2019. They've not played each other a lot, though. It's the first time they've played each other in almost 2 years. They are including, of course, a Laver Cup clash that went the way of Zverev there, which some people might not include in the head-to-head. But 8-1, nevertheless, is a comfortable reading for Zverev. You would expect him to win their clay matches, but there's only been, I think, one clay match between these two. But 8-1 would suggest a Zverev win. And I'm going to go for Zverev, maybe coming from a set down to do so. And therefore, Zverev to progress. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Ready? Play.
Next up is Francis Tiafoe against Alexander Zverev. Tiafoe avenging his Mexican Open loss with a straight sets win over Flavio Cobolli in the previous round. Zverev having to come from a set down to beat Brandon Nakashima. 6-7, 7-5, 6-4. Zverev, of course, never been as far as the semi-finals in Indian Wells, which is a kind of a surprise for a guy who obviously does very well on all surfaces, in all conditions, I would argue. Maybe not grass. But certainly, Zverev not ever being in the semi-finals at Indian Wells is kind of surprising. Last year, he went out to Griegsbor in his opening match. Did make the quarters in 2024 before going down to Alcaraz. That is the furthest he has been in Indian Wells. As for Francis Tiafoe in recent years, well, last year, Francis Tiafoe went out to Tsitsipas in the round of 32. Sorry, that was 2 years ago to Tsitsipas. Last year, he went out to Watanuki, also in the round of 32. In 2023, Tiafoe did make the semis, which is obviously a round that Zverev has never made in the past. And their form, well, Tiafoe's form, pretty good, I guess. Maybe turning a corner in recent weeks, recent months, getting to the Mexican Open final before losing to Cobole, as I mentioned, and then also getting some nice wins this year at the Indian Wells tournament. Zverev making the semi-finals in Australia, but disappointing early loss to Kecmanovic in the Mexican Open, but he has had a couple more wins here at Indian Wells, including that win, of course, over Nakashima. Prior to that, in the previous round, Zverev beat Berrettini in straight sets. That was a match I actually saw. Zverev's level pretty good, but Berrettini a long way off the player he was 2021, 2022, 2023. Obviously, a lot of injuries since then. Two right-handers coming up against each other. Zverev, obviously, with the stronger player on serve, and 8-1 is their head-to-head. In fact, Zverev has not lost to Francis Tiafoe since 2017. Outdoor hard matches, they played each other in Beijing in 2019. They've not played each other a lot, though. This is the first time they've played each other in almost 2 years. They are including, of course, a Laver Cup clash that went the way of Zverev there, which some people might not include in the head-to-head. But 8-1, nevertheless, is a comfortable reading for Zverev. You would expect him to win their clay matches, but there's only been, I think, one clay match between these two. But 8-1 would suggest a Zverev win. And I'm going to go for Zverev, maybe coming from a set down to do so. And therefore, Zverev to progress. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our live watch-alongs of Jasmine Paolini against Talia Gibson, but also Alexander Zverev against Francis Tiafoe. Tiafoe and Zverev, by the way, got underway a little bit before Gibson and Paolini. And we are on serve at 2-1, and that noise in the background you can hear, I'm going to just turn that off a moment. My dinner. So excuse me, but I will be having that after these matches. So Paolini serving first against Gibson. Tiafoe and Zverev on a change of ends, with Francis serving at 1-2. Pre-match favourites were obviously Zverev and Paolini, but I've actually tipped a surprise in the Paolini-Gibson encounter. But Paolini serving first at 15 love. Do get voting in our polls, by the way, as to who you think is going to win. And of course, if you are new to the channel, hit subscribe. If you hit subscribe, by the way, you see this camera, or sorry, this number just below my head. You will see this number tick over, and you'll know that it was you who made the difference. Paolini's raced into a 40-love lead. I've gone for Gibson and Zverev. Zverev has an 8-1 head-to-head lead over Tiafoe. It's true that they haven't played each other much in recent years. Always, Paolini's just put a backhand into the net. 40-15. So, yeah, I've gone for Zverev and Gibson. Let me know in the live chat who you are tipping to win. If you think Gibson is winning, I want you to write G. If you think Paolini is winning, I want you to write P. Just write G for Gibson and P for Paolini. Write T for Tiafoe and Z for Zverev and just hit return right now. Paolini's held for 1 love, by the way, losing just 1 point on her serve in that particular game. Just going to have a look at the draw to see how it's panning out in terms of the quarterfinals or upcoming quarterfinals. We've had wins already today for Aryna Sabalenka in straight sets over Naomi Osaka. And also a win in straight sets for Arthur Fils, but that was a much more complicated one for Arthur in a second set tiebreak where he had to defend off 5 set points against Felix Auger-Aliassime. Yes, so Arthur Fils is going to be playing the winner of Frances Tiafoe and Alexander Zverev in one quarterfinal. And on the women's side, I'm just wondering if it's the winner of Gibson. No, it's not. The winner of Gibson and Paolini will play the winner of Iala and Noskova. Okay, that's interesting. Sabalenka will play the winner of Mboko and Anisimova. Do make sure you hit that like button, by the way. You can also hit share on this. Share as in to spread the word rather than share as in the musician. If you click share, you can then share it on your socials and we can get some more people to join us. Backhand here from Gibson goes into the net. 15 or love 15. We will, by the way, be bringing you Alejandro Davidovich Fokina as well in his match against Lerner Tien. We'll also bring you that match as well. So all of the 8 matches being played today, we will have watch-alongs for. Good depth here from Paolini. And Gibson in all sorts of trouble now. Love 30 on her serve. Meanwhile, Tiafoe and Zverev are at deuce. It's 15:30 now between Gibson and Paolini. To get voting in our poll, by the way, as to who you think. Whoever you think is winning, just vote. And also let me know in the live chat. If you think Gibson is winning, I want you to write G. If you think Paolini is winning, write P. It's a bit of a miss-hit, that forehand winner, I think, from Gibson, but she's got away with it. Also, if you think Zverev is winning, write Z. And if you think Tiafoe is winning, write T. Got a game point here for Francis at 1-2. Zverev, by the way, has already hit 3 aces in his 2 service games. And Tiafoe has already hit 2 double faults. And we are back to deuce. Gibson here just needs to settle, I think. That's a nice backhand winner from her up the line to bring up 40-30. Maybe she is settling now. We will have watch-alongs as well for Yannick Sinner and João Fonseca, and also for Mboko against Anisimova. And we will finish with Linda Noskova against Alex Iala. All of those will be on the channel today. Just going to check on my potatoes. Yeah, I think they're fine. Gibson Paolini, just like Tiafoe and Zverev at Juice. We are going to have a game point, though, now for Talia Gibson against Jasmine Paolini. Okay. Tiafoe, Zverev locked at 1-2 Deuce. Gibson, though, has held. It was a nervy first service game from her that went to Deuce, but eventually she wins the last 2 points to get over the line. 7 minutes on the clock there. Jasmine Paolini to serve at 1 game all. I still want to see some thoughts in the live chat as to who you think is winning. Whether you think Zverev or Tiafoe are winning, or Gibson or Paolini. Good forehand winner there for Paolini to get to 15 love. And Tiafoe, huge hold. It was a really sticky one for him, but he does actually get the hold. Do I follow any other? We've got a Tiafoe suggestion here from Premkanth. Brave call, I would suggest, because I think Zverev is the overwhelming favorite. The number 4 seed against the number 21 seed, and someone with an 8-1 head-to-head. Do I follow any other sports? Yes, I do. I follow football especially. Paolini's held for 2-1, but I also follow cricket. I also follow... I used to be a big F1 fan in my younger days, but not really anymore. Probably the only sport I don't really follow is basketball. That's what... horse racing, if you count that as a sport, I'm not really a fan of as well. But football and tennis are my favorites and ones I follow most closely. And certainly the ones I feel most comfortable talking to you guys about. Okay, Gibson serving at 1-2. And Zverev serving at 2 games all. Someone has just entered the live chat. Hello, Pila Bellissimo. Paolini's going to beat Gibson. Easy money. Okay, maybe. Maybe. I went big. I went brave. I went Gibson. But I understand Paolini's the warm favorite. Maybe even overwhelming favorite. Okay, change of ends for Gibson and Paolini. They're on serve in the first set. Zverev and Tiafoe are also on serve at 2 games all. Let me know in the live chat if you follow some other sports, by the way. I will be very keen to know. Gibson serving at 1-2 after 9 minutes. Zverev is edging closer to the hold of serve at 40-15. He has 2 game points for a 3-2 lead. Yeah, that Zverev head-to-head would be, I think, is significant. Zverev, of course, has never made the semis in Indian Wells. That is a surprise with someone such a pedigree. Yeah, I thought you might be a cricket fan, Prem. Yeah, I love the cricket too. And of course, we just had the World Cup, of course, the one-day World Cup. Was it one day or T20? One day, I think. World Cup, India and New Zealand contesting the final. Who is your favorite football team, by the way, Kremkanth? I'll be very intrigued to know. 2 game points for Zverev to get to 3-2 at the change of ends. Gibson serving at 1-2. Gibson and Paolini back on court. It was T20, my bad. Wonderful to have so many people watching, by the way, right now. Please do hit that like button. And if you are new to the channel and you haven't already done so, hit subscribe. And if you hit subscribe right now, you'll see this number, which, by the way, has gone down by 1 or 2. Maybe people are not happy the fact that I'm a football fan or a cricket fan. I don't know. Or maybe they're just not happy that I tipped Gibson and Zverev for the wins. Whatever, anyway, we lost a couple of subscribers, but I'm sure we'll gain some. Pila here, by the way, saying that Pila is only interested in tennis, and thank you for that later subscriber. Whenever you hit subscribe, by the way, you'll see the number just below my head tick over, and you'll know that it was you, and you can do a little dance. Meanwhile, Zverev has held for 3-2. Oh, Prem is an Atletico Madrid fan. I did not expect that. Isn't there Champions League happening tonight? I should know, but as a United fan, I kind of switch off when it comes to the Champions League. Yeah. Oh, wow. Atletico Madrid are beating Spurs 4-1. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Bayern, by the way. Liverpool losing the first leg to Galatasaray 1-0 to... Okay. And Spurs 4-1 down in the first leg to Atletico Madrid. 34 minutes on the clock there. Now, I do understand that there's a second leg to come. And if, for example, that was to finish 4-2, I understand that, maybe Spurs will fancy their turn. But the way Spurs are playing, I mean, they're showing relegation form, right? So, yeah. By the way, many of you are probably not fans of football, so I will stop sharing that screen. But I am happy to keep abreast of it. But in the meantime, I'll bring Zverev and Tiafoe back up on the screen, but also Paolini against Gibson. Gibson has a game point, by the way, and she's just dumped a forehand into the net, so deuce. One, two, deuce. Those of you wondering what's happening between Francis Tiafoe and Alexander Zverev, well, Tiafoe had a sticky hold in his previous service game, but other than that, it's been pretty comfortable on serve for both players, and they remain on serve. Gibson has been pushed to deuce for both of her service games. Hello, Ghosty. Oh, Ghosty, you like Yuki, do you? Oh, double fault from Gibson. Break point, Jasmine Paolini. Yuki, by the way, is my dog. And she has an Instagram page. By the way, many of you are like going, John, just stick to the tennis. Yeah, but... All right, I will stick to the tennis for now, but I am going to bring up Yuki's Instagram page in a moment. Yeah. This is a great story. So I'm just looking at Yuki's story. Okay. Break point here for Jasmine Paolini. Run around forehand return for her. Gibson up the line. Good depth there. Jasmine's fending it off. Now it's a forehand going into the net. Paolini clenched fist tells you that she's broken serve. All right. May I share Yuki's Instagram page? There you go, people. Give Talking Tennis a follow at Talking Tennis TT. But also give Yuki a follow there. Hey, _ it's me _ Yuki. All right. Paolini up an early break. Here is the Talking Tennis Instagram page, which you certainly should be following. Tiafoe once again, a little bit sticky for him. 2-3, 15, 30. And 2-3, 15, 30 becomes 2-3, 15, 40. I will keep you up to date with Paolini and Gibson, but we've got 2 break points here for Alexander Zverev to draw first blood in this round of 16 clash. By the way, Gibson making some inroads on the Paolini serve here. I do think Gibson was a bit nervy at the beginning of this match, but she's love 30 on the Paolini serve as she tries to get it back on serve in this first set. A couple of very tight forehands from Gibson. The first break point from Tiafoe has been saved. And Gibson, by the way, is going to get to love 40 here on the Paolini serve. So hold your horses on that Paolini definite win. And Zverev gets the break. Leads 4-2 over Francis. Backhand slice return there from Gibson goes into the net. 15-40. LOL, says Pilo. I think that's because Pilo is very confident regarding the Paolini win, and I'm just saying calm down for a moment. Okay, serve. Double fault, is that from Paolini? No, second serve. Tell a lie. Sorry, people. Chill, chill, chill. Second serve, anyway, for Gibson here on the break point. Backhand return is good, but Paolini with a wonderful backhand up the line to get us to 30-40. Okay, Paolini's serving. Second serve. Backhand return from Gibson. Good depth there from Gibson, but good depth from Paolini as well. But Paolini's on the run, but so is Gibson. But that's a decent backhand cross-court from her. Now she's going to go backhand down the line. Paolini defending, but defending very well. To be fair, she's absorbing this pace really well. Gibson's still on the attack, and Paolini's still defending. Now Paolini's going to go long with a forehand. Gibson gets it back on serve. Hold your horses on that definite Paolini win, all right? Calm down, people. Calm down. But maybe I'm the one who should calm down as well. Back on serve between Gibson and Paolini. Zverev serving to consolidate at 4-2. So let's dip into that match. 4-2, love 15. So Zverev, tennis being tennis, you never know. And I've gone for the Gibson win. You may notice from my body language. I've gone for, so far, by the way, I went for Feast to beat Felix, and I went for Sabalenka to beat Osaka. I've also gone for Gibson to beat Paolini and Zverev to beat Tiafoe. Zverev, Tiafoe here, 15 all. Zverev decked out in a sort of very much a German national team, Mannschaft outfit, because they wear white, black, white, don't they? I think they wear white shirt, black shorts, white socks. That is a football or soccer reference, by the way. Coming back to Ghosty's questions here. Just a moment, Ghosty. Sorry, Zverev here serving 30-15. Second serve for Francis Tiafoe to look at. Good to have so many of you with us right now. Hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe and then watch this number tick over and do a little dance. Obviously, you've got Newcastle in action against Barcelona right now. Volley here from Zverev at the net, but now a lob from Tiafoe. I think Zverev, by the way, has got to do a lot more, especially with that second volley. As we see Tommy Haas watching tennis. What a crazy scenario is as a tennis tournament director. I lament this over and over again. And it kind of annoys me, really, because I know the tennis directors of tournaments that are smaller, and they are just working their behinds off all week. Then you have the figurehead tennis director, and they just watch tennis all week. And by the way, we know who Tommy Haas is supporting today. And by the way, you know which category Tommy Haas falls in. And I would also argue Garbiñe Muguruza as well. Muguruza, of course, doing a job for the PIF. Forehand, really, another one that Zverev should be winning, but it clips the net and goes long. So 30-40. Zverev here, break point, but it hits an ace out wide. Deuce. I will be addressing those questions shortly. By the way, Gibson's got to 40-15, 2 game points for the Australian. Don't worry, Ghosty. I will be coming to your questions in a moment. We've got, by the way, between the two streams, we've got about 50 people watching on YouTube. And I'm telling you now, 30 of you have not hit subscribe. If all 30 of you hit subscribe right now, this number would just go crazy. Deuce here, another ace out wide from Zverev that Tiafoe did not read at all. Gibson holds for 3-all, by the way. Good hold there for the Australian because, of course, she was a breakdown. She gets parity in terms of being back on serve, but it's very easy to then get broken again. But I think Gibson's settled now in this match because she was a bit nervy at the beginning. Oh, how has Zverev pulled that forehand wide? Listen, there's at least 3 points in this rally that Zverev was so far up on top that even Ghosty would have won the point, and yet the world number 4 didn't win the point. Good question. Don't know, Ghosty. Don't know. So I'll take the 5th on that one. I mean, first of all, he's Larry Ellison's lapdog. So let's start with, should we start with that one, Ghosty? Yeah. I mean, she is a mixed breed, by the way. Oh, because so Zverev is held, by the way, hence my revert to the chat regarding the breed. She is a mixed breed, but ultimately border collie. But we don't know all the details. But a few of her relatives are border collies, but she may have a bit of Dalmatian in there. You might be onto something there, Ghosty, our canine expert in California. Maybe Ghosty, you can answer this. Why does it annoy me? It's because I remember the interview that Nick did with the tournament director in Birmingham, which, by the way, Birmingham has now lost its status as a WTA 250 as the WTA just continue their neglect of that level of the sport. And I don't know, it just feels wrong to me. It just feels wrong. I know the stress and the work that's involved with running a tennis tournament. And I don't know, I just feel envy on their behalf, or there's just something wrong with it. I can't say much more than that. She does have a special light in her eyes, that's right. Yeah, I know. Sara Ruan is always there, cheering on her doubles partner and obviously close friend Jasmine Paolini. It's going to be tough for Tiafoe. Ghosty, do you know what the head, without checking Google, and I have mentioned it about 5 times already during the stream, but without checking Google, do you know what the head-to-head is between Zverev and Tiafoe? I obviously know it, but yeah. He might be doing a great job, Ghosty, but winning some kind of award doesn't necessarily mean you're doing a good job. I mean, didn't Donald Trump win a peace award from FIFA recently? And Craig Tiley's been getting plaudits for his work at Tennis Australia, and is now obviously working for the USTA. But I think there's plenty of people within Australian tennis that would suggest that maybe he didn't do such a great job for those at the absolute top of the game. And where is Australian tennis right now? 15 love, Francis Tiafoe. I agree. I think all oligarchs, irrespective of their nationality, are probably beyond the pale. I think Suckers just doesn't do enough for it. But I mean, if there was an award for the most horrible, perhaps even evil, is that too strong a word? I don't know. Anyway, unsurprisingly, our Indian Wells media accreditation got turned down. How brave would you have to be, by the way? I think unbelievably brave, which tells you the world we live in. And anyone who thinks that these so-called Western countries, the democracies, are just living in cloud cuckoo land, if you know that expression. How brave would you have to be to ask a question about Larry Ellison and his links to the genocide in Gaza? I think, first of all, if you were likely to ask that question, getting into the US would be the first thing. But you might get away with it if you haven't tweeted too much about it. But then secondly, if you were fortunate enough to still get a media accreditation. Thirdly, what would be the consequence? There's one of 3 consequences. 1, nothing. You're just okay. No problem with asking that question. The tennis player would probably give it a straight bat. Maybe they would engage with it. I'd like to think, unfortunately, she's not on the tour right now. I'd like to think that Ons Jabeur would engage with it, bearing in mind she has a position at the UN, has obviously been very outspoken about the situation in Gaza. But she's not on the tour right now. I think she's probably the only tennis player that's kind of been outspoken on the issue. If there's others, Ghosty, I'd like to know. The second possibility, of course, is that you'd get reprimanded or perhaps have your media accreditation taken away. Third, and I wouldn't rule this out, would be even worse. And I'll let you consider that. Zverev here, 5-3, 15 love. Gibson 3-4, 15 love. Louis suggesting upset in progress. Well, first of all, certainly not in progress because we're just on serve. But the momentum has shifted a bit in Gibson's direction. But it would be an upset, definitely, in terms of their pedigree and Jasmine Paolini top 10, Gibson having to come through qualifying. But I did call a Gibson win. But it's probably as much about Jasmine's form right now. And even what I'm seeing with the eye test is not encouraging for Jasmine, whether she wins or not today, looking at her going forward. Zverev here has got to 30-15 on his serve. Yeah, I agree regarding Ons' position there with Saudi. Has she got what ties has she got with Saudi other than the obvious ones of just being a tennis player? And oh, by the way, I mean, I obviously don't have as many issues with Pegula as you do, Ghosty, but the WTA choosing her as the Workers' Council representative. I mean, this is so obvious why the WTA chose her, and so crazy for the average onlooker. 40-15 here's Zverev. Two set points against Francis Tiafoe. Misses the first serve. By the way, did you address the Ghosty? I want you to at least guess the Zverev Tiafoe head-to-head. So just give me some numbers. Just seeing this best of three and you'll dominate. Oh, well done, Tiafoe, for saving that. But he's not... Oh, Zverev has missed that forehand. Deary me. I mean, the level from both players, but weirdly enough, the expectations I have for Zverev are obviously greater. One set point comes and goes. I don't dislike the... I mean, I know the answer, Ghosty. So in terms of what the answer is, the guess is not bad. I like the thought process. And yes, it's 8-1. But, you know, you started with Zverev winning them all. And then it's like, well, I guess Tiafoe's got one. So let's go 5-1. Yeah. 8-1. So you're off. But, you know, you were like, Zverev is dominating, but Tiafoe's probably got one. So it's fine. Backhand return missed from Tiafoe. That's a messy backhand return. And almost as messy as his setup on his bench. 6-3. It was a long time ago, but they haven't played a lot in their, as I looked at yesterday, I think it was when I was checking their head-to-head. By the way, weren't you here for the stream when I was talking about their head-to-head yesterday? I know you dip in and out, but I think you were engaged in the track. But I think you were probably all messed up with your anger about the me and you having different opinions on how legitimate the Laver Cup is. Tiafoe's only win came in Cincinnati in 9 years ago, or 8.5 years ago. 3-set win that Francis had. But the last 6 have all gone the way of Zverev, including, remember, yeah, because that's right, because the last win came at the Laver Cup. But you were so caught up in, Laver Cup is a real thing. You European... and I'm not going to say the word. Yeah, but you were in. I know you're dipping out, and that makes sense. You've all got lives to lead, but you were here for that. You were here for that, very much for it. Okay, I'm here also for Jasmine Paolini against Talia Gibson. So 4-all, 40-15. Regarding Yuki, by the way, maybe Paolini, maybe Yuki's great grandmother or grandfather was a Dalmatian, so you might be onto something there. Can't rule it out. Can't rule it in either. Dipping out like Francis Tiafoe, disinterested. Anyway, it is looking like 9-1 at the moment, but long way to go yet. We're only halfway there in terms of victory for Zverev. Who knows? It might be a third of the way to victory, or it might be a third of the way to a loss. But Francis is going to have to win the next 2 sets. 44 minutes on the clock. Francis Tiafoe to serve first at the beginning of the second set. But let's maybe switch to Gibson and Paolini, because Gibson is serving to stay in the first set. Oh, Stoke City are playing Ipswich Town tonight. I'm just scrolling through my TV options. Stoke, by the way, is where Nick is from. And I think there's 2 teams, by the way, from Stoke and Port Vale. And I think he's a Stoke City fan. I think Robbie Williams, the singer, Robbie Williams, as we see someone dancing a couple of people dancing in the crowd there. I think she may have had a drink or 2. She might not. But she's very loose, that's for sure. And she's on camera right now. By the way, when, you know, full-grown adults, grown-ass adults, they just turn into incredible children when the camera goes on them in this situation. And I'm all here for it, by the way. I'm not a grumpy person. He's not far from Birmingham, and he did cover the WTA event there in 2023. But yeah, no, he's Stoke, and I think he's about an hour from Birmingham, I think. Zverev has yet to hit a double fault. By the way, Zverev and Sabalenka, they have turned incredible corners regarding the double faults, bearing in mind where they were at in 2022. Gibson here serving 4-5. Run around forehand return for Paolini. Paolini was up a break in this set, but that backhand into the net is 15-love. Tiafoe holds, by the way, at the beginning of the second set, so he leads 1-love. But regarding the Larry Ellison question, by the way, no one in Indian Wells has brought it up, and I don't think anyone, in fact, I'm sure no one will. No one will. In fact, barely a murmur. I've seen a couple of people highlighting it on Twitter. Some people calling this an IDF fundraiser, which I thought was very on point. Yeah, although I don't think it's unfair to suggest, Ghosty, that some of these people I was just watching were well over 45. All backhand there from Paolini goes into the net. 40-love. Yeah, Gibson just needed to settle. Those nervy forehands we saw at the beginning of the match are not so apparent now. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was really on point, Ghosty. But I think I've seen one or maybe, and I'm talking about hundreds, maybe even thousands of people that I follow. And of course, sometimes you don't follow these people on social media, but they still pop up in your timeline. So I think there's probably I think it's more than 1,000, and only one person has stuck their head above the parapet on that. And by the way, I get it. I mean, I've not raised it. I'm raising it here. If I suddenly get taken away, by the way, if because Germany's no better or different to anywhere else. If I suddenly get well, of course they wouldn't ring the doorbell. If I suddenly get hauled off stream, then you'll know why. 40-15 here for Gibson, 4-5. I mean, that's the thing about football that I do like. Lovely, lovely +1 winner there for Gibson. At least you get some journalists being real journalists. Tennis, it's just very few. I prefer to hone in on the one. I mean, I had somebody the other day, a so-called journalist, but they're PR basically. I highlighted the fact that I thought it wasn't the right decision to put Ayala on court 3 but at least I did say that the good thing was in terms of the timing being good for the Philippines. Somebody, as I say, a so-called journalist decided to disagree with me. And by the way, that's, of course, they're right. But they are someone who has a picture of the WTA logo behind them. And they are someone who, by and large, will always take the authorities and the decision makers' side. And, of course, that's why they tend to get accredited and get, all the jazz. But they're not a journalist, that's for sure, even though they obviously profess to being one. But it got worse. I made my case for Ayala being on a larger stadium. But, it's fine. You can make the case for her not being. And then they proceeded to continue to be condescending, by the way, showing probably their lack of awareness regarding the Ayala explosion over the last 12 months. But they finished it with a tweet saying that they live in the real world and I don't. So therefore, I wouldn't understand. I will say this. I don't live in the real world either because I have a pretty comfortable life. I have heating. I have financially, I'm fine. I've got a TV. I've got a laptop. I've got running water. All of those wonderful luxuries. Anybody who works in tennis does not live in the real world. No one can profess to say that. And if you do, I think you're demonstrating the fact that you don't live in the real world. Yeah, I know. I mean, I think we've turned a little bit of a corner, Ghosty. Not anywhere near enough. This is a hell of an oil tanker. Probably oil tanker is the wrong metaphor. But I think it is slowly turning a little bit. Thanks to some independent media. Of course, I understand the skepticism regarding TikTok, but I think it's probably slightly more free and democratic than, or has been, but of course I think that may diminish than say Twitter or Facebook and by proxy Instagram. Should I maybe be talking about the tennis? There might be lots of people here shaking their fists saying I should, because we've got a break point for John's tip. Did I tell you I tipped Gibson to win this match? We've got a break point for the Australian. Oh, look at that, though, from Jasmine Paolini, friend of the show, with an ace down the tee. Shut up, John. Deuce. There is a little dissent, but the dissent in Germany does get stamped out. The UK, I don't live there, so I don't know as much. Of course, I have friends and family there, but I think there's a little bit. I'm seeing some voices, but, you know. Wonderful forehand return there from Gibson. Well, you say she's a cool cucumber, Ghosty. She wasn't cool at the beginning of the match, but she's demonstrating her level right now that she's shown this year, I would argue. I think she's had a pretty good year, even before Indian Wells. Anyway, break point number 2. And I tell you what that does, that return of serve she just did at Deuce, is it unnerves Paolini to the extent that she misses her first serve here, whereas before, remember, it was an ace. Backhand return, backhand from Paolini. Paolini's confidence right now, remember, is an issue, although she's going to win this point after Gibson. The forehand has let Gibson down a few times today, and it let her down there, Deuce. Yeah, I think internationally, very few people have bared their teeth on this matter, but the Spanish Prime Minister has. But of course, the German Chancellor, boy, oh boy. I mean, I think he's living in the 30s and the 40s, that man. Goes long there, Paolini. And it's another break point for Gibson. By the way, lots of you tuning in, especially for this Paolini Gibson stream. Please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe. Backhand return here. It's going to go long and wide. Deuce. Newcastle. Latest scores, by the way, in the Champions League. Just going into the second half. Newcastle 0. Barcelona 0. Atletico Madrid 4. Tottenham, we might be getting relegated, 1. Atalanta 0. Bayern Munich 3. And an earlier result, a full-time one this. Galatasaray 1, Liverpool 0. That concludes the first leg status in the Champions League matches tonight. Gibson is going to have another break point here. Craig Shapiro there, the podcaster. Okay, break point here. Forehand now to forehand of Paolini. And that forehand's going to go long. Gibson gets the break. Decked out in all purple from a brand I'm not familiar with. Apologies. We are open to that brand sponsoring us, by the way. If you have some ethics. Just some. Not even a lot, but just 1 or 2, maybe. We'll probably say yes to the cash. Okay. 6-5. She leads. Over to Zverev and Tiafoe. 1-2 in the second set with Zverev serving at 30-15. What was... Let's rewind, by the way, this stream to the beginning. Pilesimo. Bro, Paulini's going to destroy Gibson. Yo, told you that Paulini's going to destroy Gibson. And now Gibson is going to serve for the first. And, oh, by the way, Paulini all the way as well. But that was from It's Really Me. I picked Gibson to win pre-match. And, of course, I'm going to stick with that. By the way, it's not even this set is done yet. Far from it. I think Gibson is vulnerable on serve. So I wouldn't be surprised if we go to a tiebreak. But she is at least in the driving set, serving for the first set when they return to the court. Zverev, by the way, is in the driving set in his match because he's won the first set by 6-3. In the second set, on serve, 1-2, Zverev serving 30-15. Zverev has hit 11 aces, by the way, and 0 double faults. Tiafoe's ratio is not as good, 3 aces and 2 double faults. Let me know in the live chat right now. Who is serving this out? Matthew here saying Tottenham getting battered everywhere they go. Is Gibson serving this out? I just want a yes or a no. Just write Y for yes. If you think Gibson is going to serve this first set out, put a Y and hit return. If you think no, hit N and hit return. Simple as that. I just want a Y or an N. Plenty of humor here in the chat. Ghosty going for a yes that she serves this out. But Jane and Matthew, you're doubting Toms, are going no. By the way, I said something earlier about grown-ass people. And I know that this is an expression you use in the US as well, Ghosty, or I should say in the Americas or North America, because I've seen the Finnish comedian who makes a joke about the word ass. He makes several jokes about it. It's really, really funny. Backhand missed there from Paulini. 15 love. Do you know this Ghosty, this comedian I'm referring to? Yeah, good win for Artifice today. Jane, are you going to join us for the Davidovich Fokina Learner TN watch along, by the way? I do hope so. I thought you might have been a Felix fan, Jane, although I might have got that wrong. Good backhand there from Gibson. She's in charge. Oh, no, she's on the back foot here. So I think we're at neutral, I think it's fair to say, in this rally. In fact, now it's Gibson on the run. Paulini should win the point, and she does. Ball, by the way, was bouncing pretty high. Poor Jasmine, with her height as well, was struggling, but did really well with that backhand. Look how high that... I mean, that was so probably above her head height, that backhand. So difficult. Let's look at this again. Wow. And then she puts away the forehand. 15 all. Zverev is held for 2 all. Oh, unbelievable athleticism, Ghostin. It was on display today. Second serve, 15 all. Yeah. Mesmo, Kismo, Fismo, Ismo, Ghosty. Ismo, the Finnish comedian. I've only seen a few bits of his. 30-15, unreturned serve, by the way. By the way, listen to my tips today. Let's listen to my tips, okay? The first 4 matches, I went for Sabalenka, Fils, Zverev, and Gibson. All right? Just saying. Now, I will, of course, go quiet if Tiafoe and Paulini win. But if they don't, I'll be reminding you forever and a day. Great backhands here from... Oh, my goodness me, Gibson. She's loving the backhands. Oh, first double fault for Zverev, as Jane alluded to perhaps earlier. What a backhand down the line. I know, Matthew. And Gibson gets the job done. 7-5. The Indian Wells dream continues, at least for now. I mean, by the way, Indian Wells dream, I'm not suggesting she's winning the title. The win, I think, of Gibson-Paulini, I want to go back to the draw because it's not playing Sabalenka. She's playing the winner of Mboko and Anisimova, Sabalenka in the quarterfinals. The winner of Paulini And Gibson is going to be playing the winner of Iala and Noskova. There's a real chance. I mean, one of these four players is going to be in the Indian Wells semi-finals. Iala, Noskova, Gibson, and Paolini. The internet will go into a meltdown on both sides of the Iala border, if you like, if it's Iala in the semis. But what a story it would be if it's Gibson in the semis. I mean, what a story it is already. Gibson winning that first set by 7-5. She struggled a bit on her second serve, did the Australian. But Paolini probably not doing enough damage on her first serve, winning 60% of her first serve. She actually won more on her second serve. But look at that. 18 winners off the racket of Gibson and just 9 off the racket of Paolini. And it's Gibson who draws first blood by winning the first set by 7-5. And all you doubters who weren't sure that she would serve it out, Hatcher Sync 8, good to see you with us, by the way. Hatcher Sync 8, if you haven't subscribed to us, please do hit that subscribe button. And then watch this number. You might be 26,797. But to us, Hatcher Sync 8, you'll be more than just a number. Tony here going for the Gibson win. I agree, Matthew. I agree. Well, I think Feast is bold. He wasn't the favorite against Felix. I agree that Sabalenka's not bold. Well, Sabalenka, Osaka, there were some people tipping Naomi to win. I think Zverev is an overwhelming favorite against Francis. That's a little different. But Felix, I think for many was a 50-50. And I've gone for Gibson. I think if you go for one huge underdog, you go for a heavy favorite, a warm favorite, and a 50-50, I think deserves something. Oh, Ghosty, I'm sure she does regarding her journalism. But listen, let me tell you how much of a quagmire journalism probably is as a whole, but tennis journalism is especially. I know a story regarding a journalist, because of the heat in Madrid last year, fainted at a press conference. Okay. Not only was the moderator not interested in the person who was clearly unwell, albeit probably not life-threatening, but we don't know. And by the way, Lorenzo Musetti, who was the person in that press conference, did show a concern, but the moderator just said, I want to continue the press conference. And Lorenzo felt uncomfortable. Other journalists in that room, so-called journalists, are very aware of this story. One said that they were going to do something on it, but ultimately didn't, because they know that it's extremely damning of, first of all, the moderator, who I also know who that moderator was, and of the WTA in particular. So if you want to know about the state of tennis journalism, journalists would put the WTA and its reputation ahead of the health of fellow journalists. That's where we're at. Where we're at in terms of Zverev versus Tiafoe, 2-3, Zverev serving. Jasmine Paolini's held her serve at the beginning of the second set. Yeah, I mean, that's very much on point, Ghosty. I mean, he doesn't really have much of a net game, but you can win slams without having much of a net game. Yeah, Ghosty. I know. Unfortunately, he's a very unfriendly person, as well, as I found as a newbie in the world of tennis journalism in my early years. Oh, Medvedev, yeah. 6-4-6 love of Abias last night. He's going to play Mickelson next round. Okay, Paolini here has got love 15 on the Gibson serve. Can I say neither, Ghosty? I love what Wayne Rooney said. It reminds me of what Wayne Rooney said last week. It's like, obviously, I think the question was like, well, obviously, you're worried for Spurs, given their situation, and they could get relegated. And Wayne Rooney's like, I'm not worried. It doesn't bother me. I was like, concerned was the word. How concerned should we be for Spurs' perilous situation in terms of the fact they could get relegated? And Wayne Rooney said, I'm not concerned at all. As soon as the question was asked, actually, I heard it being asked, I was like, I don't think he's going to be that concerned. Gibson might be concerned at the moment, though, with the way that she just put that drive volley into the net, 15-30. Oh, Love won 15-30 here. Gibson serving. Yeah, tennis, I think, is even more marginalized than football, because what you have in football is you do have fans holding journalists to account. Not all, and all fans, of course, have their own biases towards their own team. But even with football fandom, you are biased in favor of your team, but you still hold them to account. Do you know what I mean? You still get angry with the manager. You still get frustrated with the players. You still get angry with the board, rightly so, more often than not. You don't get that in tennis. And so therefore you can have authorities run roughshod over the sport. Is that an ace? Oh no, double fault. 30-40. Break point, Paolini. By the way, if and when Paolini goes on to win this match, I know I'm going to get killed in the live chat. Svitolina, Swiatek, and Bocco. Yep. Backhand return here from Paolini. I think whoever wins between Bocco and Anisimova, by the way, is definitely going to give Sabalenka a run for their money. Oh, Gibson nets, break of serve, 2-love Paolini. Good question. Gibson, I think, began the tournament outside the top 100, but I think she's back inside the top 100. I say back inside because I think... so she began the tournament... I've got her doubles ranking here, but I'm trying to get her singles ranking. I think she began the tournament 110. Oh, she's not been inside the top 100 yet. But if we go to the live rankings for Gibson, as Paolini serves at 2-love, 15-love. But it is now 15 all. If we go to the live rankings, by the way, I want to see where Gibson is in the live rankings. I think she must be inside the... Yes, she is. She's going to be at least 85 in the live rankings. And I think she's not been inside the top 100 before. I think it's 105. Yeah, career high of 105. But she's now going to be inside the top 100. So there you go. Okay, Paolini's serving here. 2-love, 30-15. And Zverev is just making his move, perhaps. Tiafoe here, 3-all, love 15. Not so sure, but you might be right, Ghosty. You might be right. I think this game is big in terms of the destiny of this set, or even the match. I think Paolini holds, and she does love. So I think you might be right, Ghosty. How quickly things can change, right? Matthew, what are your What are your predictions for Mboko, Anisimova, Swiatek, Mukova, and Svitolina Siniakova? Not just you, Matthew. All of you in the live chat can let me know your predictions for those 3 matches. Yeah, Ghosty, good that you're doing the promo stuff. I think he can, Matthew. I think he can do something. My worry for Zhao, though, is the return against Sinner serve. Because as good as Fonseca's serve is, you think Anisimova wins. Fair enough. I think it is it's fair to say that one's a 50-50. I think the biggest difference between these two is that Sinner has the marginally better serve, but the infinitely better return. And in these slow conditions, I think Jannik will be getting a lot of the returns back to Zhao in play that he probably didn't get against Tommy Paul or some of his other opponents. But I think it's a huge step forward for Zhao in a way. And it's a great learning curve for him. Iga and Svitolina, yeah. I think the Svitolina one is probably, I don't know, maybe the Iga one too. I think the Iga and the Svitolina ones are pretty easy calls. Mukova can beat Iga. She's beaten her once before, albeit a long time ago. Might even have been on grass. But I think 4-1 is the head-to-head in Iga's favor there. The reason I've gone for Mboko is partly because I think Mboko is playing brilliantly and has done consistently throughout Australia, Middle East, and now. Anisimova has done it in flashes. Look at those so-called adults that we were talking about. Look at them. I'm just watching in the Paolini crowd, the Paolini Gibson crowd. I've gone for Lerner against ADF. Yeah, I think he might be the favorite. You just know that ADF is going to come up against someone that's just going to annoy the hell out of him and eventually frustrate him and eventually knock him out. And that's Lerner all over, I think, in so many respects. Oh, double fault now from Gibson again. Love 15. And this is not me underestimating Tien's weapons, because he has some. He has some. The backhand down the line, the ability to change direction. This is not bad. Incredible movement, incredible defense. I have said that I'm just not sure about Lerner making the top 10, especially this year, but he might. He might. I don't think he's going to be doing it before the clay season, and then you're relying on some clay results. I think he's okay on the grass, but it's a long time until the North American swing, and then he let me down in terms of my expectations of him during the North American swing last year. It wasn't until after that North American swing when he seemed to wake up. Zverev gets the break on Francis Tiafoe. 6-3, 4-3. The German leads 2 games away from a spot in the quarterfinal. And if I've got my draw right, Artifice awaits. Yes, indeed. 15:30 here on the Gibson serve, and Ghosty's suggestions of Paolini running away with this set. Arnold, by the way, is I think this is pretty brave, going for an Ayala Sabalenka semi-final. Oh, good forehand winner there from Gibson. It's been a shaky forehand at times today, but that's a good winner there, 30-all. Oh, for sure. Rybakina will give Mboko or Amanda an issue. But the Rybakina is on the opposite side of the draw, I think. Savile, I think. Pila, by the way. Pila, who went missing at the end of that set, just like Paolini did, is now back in the live chat now that Paolini is flying. Albeit that Gibson has a game point here at 40-30. Pila is there when Paolini's doing well. And so Paolini got the early break. Or first of all, Pila was there at the beginning of the match. Hey, listen to this. Paolini's winning easily, blah, blah, blah. Paolini gets the break. Told you so. Paolini gets broken and then loses the first set. Pila goes for a wander. However, Paolini races into a 3-love lead at the beginning of the second set. And Pila's back. Paulini's, by the way, saved that game. At least Pilar's got a sense of humor. I like it. Paulini's won the next point to get to deuce. And Zverev and Tiafoe are a sit-down change of ends. But the German is up a break, a set and a break, as he edges closer. This is the exact scenario that Tiafoe found himself in before, by the way, against Felix, before he got himself in all sorts of troubles. And actually, Felix had 5 set points, I think. So, deuce here between Gibson and Paulini. Break point, Jasmine, as Ghosty does a little I told you so dance. Matthew, I think you're enjoying that, right? Are Tottenham the worst team ever to have got to this stage of the Champions League? Ghosty, I think you need to be putting some inverted commas on the I told you so bit. That's such an anal thing to say, right? Forehand here from Gibson into the backhand of Paulini. Another forehand from Gibson. It is, I think, the weaker wing, though, for the Australian. But now it's a forehand of Paulini's that lets herself down as she goes long. Wasn't the cleanest of strikes. And we've got a game point now for Tada. Yeah, I agree regarding that point, Matthew. With Zverev just got it over Tiafoe, Nori, and Dimitrov. Back to deuce between Gibson and Paulini. And Zverev has 2 game points for 5-3. As I dip into the Champions League to see what's going on there. Newcastle and Barcelona still locked at 0-0. Oh my goodness, Bayern winning 6-0 away to Atalanta. So I think it's fair to say that Bayern and Atletico Madrid are, I think they're more than one step in the quarterfinals. I think they're 1 step and 4 toes into the quarterfinals. Break point here for Jasmine Paulini. By the way, 1 step and 4 toes is exactly where we're at, I think, with Alexander Zverev, who is up 6-3, 5-3. Tiafoe serving to stay in the match. Paulini, is she going to get the break of serve here? Second serve. I will be switching my attention to Tiafoe Zverev in a moment. But we could have another break here for Paulini. Backhand return from Jasmine is going to go long. Deuce. $30 love for Tiafoe, serving to stay in the match. I don't think Francis has the belief either, right? Such a confidence player. Oh, lovely shot there from Gibson. Good touch. Game point for Tada. 30-15, by the way, for Tiafoe versus Zverev. So Tiafoe serving to stay in the match, but Zverev is 3 points away from the win, albeit Tiafoe is 2 points away from holding. I have 1 hour and 20 minutes on the clock. Francis decked out in a kind of burgundy and pink combo. Is that burgundy or claret? They're kind of the same for me. Oh, good hold there for Tada. Saving break points. 3-1. Listen, I think Tada would have taken this. Italia would have taken this at the beginning of the match. She's won the first set. Okay, she's down a break in the second. But that's a good hold from her. as we see an Italian flag waving in the crowd. Zverev, by the way, has won the next point, so we're at 30 all. 2 points away from the win now, Alexander, and a spot in the quarterfinals in Indian Wells. Remember, he's never been beyond the quarterfinals before. Well, I don't know if he'll fancy his chances, but I mean, it's not like he's playing Alcaraz or Sinner in the next round, or even Djokovic. Artifice lies in wait. Okay, Tiafoe serving. Where are you going to go with this serve? You go out wide, ace. Game point, Francis. Jasmine Paolini serving at 3-1. Out wide as well. She hits an ace. Both of them. Both Francis and Jasmine hit out wide aces pretty much at the same time. Francis to give himself 40-30. Jasmine Paolini to give herself 15-love. Serve down the tee here from Francis, by the way, into the backhand of Zverev, which is obviously his stronger wing. A bit like Talia Gibson as well. And look at that forehand from Talia Gibson, just backing up my point. So Zverev and Tiafoe at deuce. Okay. Backhand here from Paolini into the backhand of Gibson. Forehand from Paolini cross court. Forehand slice now from Gibson. Lovely, easy forehand winner there for Jasmine. 40-love. We're looking at a smash from deep for Zverev, which he makes. We're still in the rally here. Drop shot. Is Tiafoe going to get to that? He is, but the volley is going to be easily put away at the net there from Zverev. So we're back to deuce. Paolini holds for 4-1. Holds to love as well. A very comfortable hold that for Jasmine. An hour and 12 minutes on the clock in this particular encounter between Gibson and Paolini as they sit down for a well-earned rest. So once again, Zverev is 2 points away from the win. He's been there a couple of times already. Good serve down the tee, and that backhand is going to go long. So another game point for Tiafoe. Yeah, Zverev has 3 times been 2 points away from the win, but has not garnered a match point yet. Let me know in the live chat, by the way. Ghosty in particular, this is for you, but anyone else who's interested. Are you interested? Do you like... I'm just thinking about the Francis Tiafoe outfit. Are you a fan of red wine? Anyone who wishes to participate in this conversation is, of course, more than welcome. We're a very open community here at Talking Tennis. And that forehand is going to go long from Zverev, 5-4. Second serve points 1, you mean, Ghosty, 85%. She had a 62% second serve points 1 ratio in the first set, which is not bad. 62%. It was actually better than her first serve wins, which was 60. Ghosty saying, if your team Fritz, are you worried? Yeah, a little bit. Little bit. Red, red wine. I'm going to stop singing now because I don't want to lose any subscribers. Tottenham have got a goal, 5-2. Atletico Madrid 5, Tottenham 2. Maybe trying to ram down the suggestion that both Atletico and Bayern I've already asserted are basically in the quarters. And Newcastle Barcelona still 0-0 at St. James's Park. The Mecca. Oh, that forehand of Gibson's, which has let her down a few times today, has let her down again, going into the net. Love 15 on her serve. Okay, Alexander Zverev is serving for the match against Francis Tiafoe. Looking for a spot in the quarterfinals in Indian Wells. He's been in the quarterfinals before, but he's never been beyond it. I think I'm the same as well, Ghosty. I prefer a drier red wine these days. Oh, Francis. Okay. Zverev is serving 6-3, 5-4. Good serve out wide. Francis does well to get a racket on it. Francis does really well. What a passing shot. Francis Tiafoe, take a bow. Love 15. Gibson, by the way, hit 24 winners in this match, 14 from Paolini. She gets to 30-15 on her serve at 1-4. But she needs to start making an impression on the Paolini serve. Oh, someone filming this match. Wait till the thought police come out and stop them. 30 all after a double fault from Gibson. Another double fault. Zverev wins the next point. It gets to 15 all. Yes, Ghosted. But you're in California, right? So I have a wine region really close to me called the Mosel, by the way. Does some great... Have I not mentioned, Ghosty, the wine hikes that I go on sometimes? 30-40. Italy, of course, where Paolini is from, famous for its wine. Yeah, exactly, Ghosty. What a weird volley that is from Tiafoe. What is he going to do here? Oh, Francis! I love it. What a showman. It starts as a hike and ends in a stumble, Ghosty. I think that's fair to say. 15-30. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing, Jane. Wine hikes. It's great. 2 or 3 a year I go on. I mean, you can do more, but yeah, takes a while to recover, I'm telling you. And it's not from the hiking. He ain't going out easy, Ghosty. I'm loving this. 15-30. Okay, Zverev to serve here at 15-30. Oh, Gibson with that forehand. Come on. Got to do more. She won the point anyway, but yeah. 30 all, though. Zverev gets to 30 all. Jane, are you a red wine fan? Okay, Gibson with a game point. Zverev with a match point after an ace down the tee. So from 15-30, he's won back-to-back points thanks to his serve. And so we have our first match point. Tiafoe, by the way, looks like he's chilled and he's just popped down the local club for a hit as he just throws his racket in the air and catches it again. Match point, Alexander Zverev. Where are you going to go with this serve? You are going down the tee, missed. Zverev was like me, wasn't quite sure if that landed in or not. So second serve here for Francis to look at. Zverev for a spot in the quarterfinals where Artifice awaits. Where are you going to go with this serve? You are going down the tee again, forehand return, backhand from Zverev into the backhand of Tiafoe. It's a good backhand from Francis. Now on the forehands, but Francis's forehand breaks down, heads out into the tram lines, and Francis, like that forehand, is out. But Alexander Zverev, like so many of his shots today, is in the tournament still. Into another Indian Wells quarterfinal. It is a barrier, though, for the German in terms of the fact he's never been beyond this stage before. Quarterfinals being his limit in Indian Wells. Never been in the semis. I remember him losing to Carlos quite comfortably. That was the day of the bees, if you remember, a couple of years ago. But can he get to the semifinals this time? Artifice stands in his way. But coming back to this Francis Tiafoe Zverev match, 1 hour and 29 minutes for that 6-3, 6-4 win for Zverev. And it was as comfortable as the scoreline suggests. Zverev barely touched on his serve today and constantly applying pressure to the Francis serve. And yeah, I think as someone said in the live chat just a moment ago, as Matthew said in the live chat, Zverev doesn't have problems against these types of players. And that now extends his head-to-head lead to 9-1 over Francis Tiafoe. And it's a long time. It's almost 9 years since Cincinnati in 2017, I think, since Francis had a win against Zverev. And in terms of the matchup today, just about every department, really, it's favorable for Zverev. Backhand, serve, I think both at times can look uncomfortable on the forehand, and both maybe a little uncomfortable at the net, but the other dynamics are all very much in favor of Alexander Zverev. And yeah, he faces Artur Fils next. Francis Tiafoe, unfortunately, his Indian Wells campaign is at an end. And he just has a moment, doesn't he? He has a limit, really, in terms of where he can get when he comes up against some of the elite players. You know, your Carloses, your Yannicks, and your Zverevs. So, yeah, just having a look at some of the stats, by the way, from this match. Of course, the most important stat of all is that Zverev won 6-3, 6-4. A serve quality today from Zverev was he served so well. 9.1 is the official serve, and 37% of his serves were unreturned as a result. And he got 70% of his first serves in. That is Zverev all over. And he's won 77% of his first serves. That's Zverev all over. In terms of return quality, actually, Tiafoe slightly better than Zverev on the day. Net play, both of them maybe a little underwhelming. 7 out of 10 points, 1 at the net from Francis. I guess it's not too bad, but 11 from 18 from Zverev, not great, but it doesn't really matter. Not a huge differential in terms of the points. Zverev did win a few more points than Tiafoe today. In terms of unforced errors, actually, Zverev hit 22, which is actually more than his opponents. That's off the 2 wings, by the way. But it is Zverev who proceeds and will play Artur Fils in the next round. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.